What's up, everybody? My name is Justin, and I'm joined by my amazing wife, Tara.
Hi.
Today, we're going to be talking about all things spoilers for Avengers Endgame. I saw it twice, and you are now my go-to spoiler person.
Okay, it's a big job.
You're locked in for all upcoming Marvel and DC films in the future to talk about for spoilers, so clear your schedule.
There's probably not going to be very many upcoming big Marvel films that people care about spoilers for.
Spider-Man coming up. Let's spoil some other movies along the way too, just some random movies. But we're gonna talk about spoilers for Endgame. I got a list of things that we're gonna talk about. You saw it. You cried.
I did. It was sad at the end.
I saw it. I almost cried.
Did you cry the first time?
No, I almost cried the first time. I've seen it twice now.
I think that's a lie, but okay.
No, I did not cry. I will admit, though, I've cried at other films, but not this movie. I almost did. But we are going to talk about spoilers, so if you have not seen this movie, just
turn away. Go away. Go somewhere else.
Then come back, in a couple days from now. But This movie was huge. $350 million. That's how much I want to have in my bank account. It's a lot of money. And so it just, shattered box office predictions, whatever. So let's start with the opening. Well, we had Tony Stark in space with Nebula. I honestly thought that scene would have gone on for a little longer.
Yeah, considering how much they emphasized it in trailers, I thought it was going to be a big chunk of the movie was going to be them floating through space and trying everything they could to get back to Earth, and then it wasn't. It was just a quick flash by.
Yeah, I think it would have been way more dramatic if they did have it go on for a little longer. And you, on the way there, were trying to give me predictions and said, what if Tony dies in space and they go back in time to try to...
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he was going to die in space, and then I thought they were going to do their whole time jump thing, and they were going to pick him up along the way in a different timeline, and that's how he was going to be in the movie. But then they ended up going a different route, which I don't know if I like better.
And so then Captain Marvel was there to save the day and bring him back. So it must have been that the scene from the end of her Captain Marvel movie when she
walked in on all of them.
Yeah, that must have already happened because there was no introduction. There was hey, I'm Captain Marvel. Who are you? And then they all came up with a plan, and then they went and killed Thanos. Pretty violent scene.
It was, it wasn't violent so much as it was I don't even know how to describe it. It was just random. It didn't feel like it was part of furthering the plot. It just felt let's tie up some loose ends. Someone go kill Thanos so that we can get to the time jump part.
And so then Thor walked off into the garden, and then it was...
And apparently right into a Chick-fil-A. And 5 years later, here we are.
But it jumped 5 years, and I wasn't expecting that. I thought that it would have been the 23 days, 24, 25 days of just doing this. But we got, I think, right afterwards, the scene with Captain America, the support group. And I think that was one of the...
really random.
The guy that said he went on the date with that guy.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the directors for the movie, Anthony and Joe Russo.
Well, I get that, people are desensitized to it, and, the world has changed and stuff, but I don't know in what reality where people would go to a support group where the leader was Captain America and not freak out about that.
Yeah.
There's no level of time that could pass before people weren't oh my god, it's Captain America. But people just didn't care. It just was irrelevant now. He's just a normal person, I guess. It's weird. It was a weird turn to take for him.
But I think he did a good job there. Chris Evans is a good actor in general.
He did a good job of playing sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
He did. He mastered it.
Talk about,
talk about life.
Not giving up and stuff and got to move on. But we got to, after that, we got to the main part of the story, which involved Ant-Man. And he pretty much was in a lot of the movie. And he came out of the van.
He was better in this movie than he was in either of the Ant-Man movies.
So a little rat started the van, and out came Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And that scene when he went and tried to search for his name, his daughter's name, and then he went to see his daughter, that was pretty emotional. I almost cried on the first time seeing that, because it was sweet to see them back together. But he had this idea, the quantum jump and the time heist, as he called it. They were going to go back in time and get the Infinity Stones. And so they had to bring the group back together. And this is where I told you before we saw the movie that it took a bold choice with a character. And it worked out. And we got Fat Thor.
It worked out in a way that I think they did that to show that this whole time jump thing, yes, it benefits the world, but it doesn't benefit everyone. Because Thor is one of the few characters in the Avengers who everyone was killed. No one was really snapped away. Like, if they go back in time and bring everyone back, nothing's going to change for him. His life still really sucks. Like, everyone's dead. His whole planet is destroyed. There's no way of turning that back. So, I mean, Thor probably had the worst impact out of anyone in terms of, like, going back in time. It didn't really do much for him besides, I guess, restore his confidence.
Yeah.
So he was a mess in this movie for most of it.
It was funny, though. People kept referring him to the Big Lebowski.
Or Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when he gets really fat.
When they said, "What do you know what's flowing through my veins?" and Don Cheadle says, "What cheese whiz?"
Yeah.
But I think it paid off. It went on a little too long, but
that scene in his shack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was weird.
just in general, him being fat went on for a little too long.
I really expected him to just like miraculously be buff again, and then just be like, "Okay, we're done with that."
He just walks out of the shower.
No,
he's like really
he was
buff.
still fat at the end, so.
But it does show a lot for Thor. I mean, what had happened in Infinity War and how he did not kill Thanos, I think really got to him, and they showed that in the beginning that he was sitting there and he was disappointed with himself. So realistically, I think it was a fine approach, and it was something completely different and really funny. So I'm curious to see the Asgardians of the Galaxy, as he referred them. So I'm excited to see what he does.
I think that he could either be a really funny addition to that movie, or he could totally derail it.
I think it'd be a good addition.
It depends on how far they push this whole "who's the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy" thing. Like, it's Chris Pratt. Just let it go. Like, he can be a funny, like, Chris Pratt wishes that he could be as hot and buff as Thor, but, I mean, we all know Chris Pratt should be the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the whole point of the movie, is he's an idiot and he doesn't know what he's doing. And I don't want Thor to take that aspect away.
Yeah. And then we had Professor Hulk, which I thought was a pretty good choice, and I thought it was smart because Bruce Banner said that, he's been seeing the Hulk as someone to keep away, and why do that when you could have the best
it's a
of
part
both
of
worlds.
Him,
Dash Hannah Montana.
Dash Hannah quote Hannah Montana.
But I think it paid off for them in the end. I really liked seeing.
It was odd, though, because wasn't it Infinity War where he couldn't even turn into the Hulk?
Yeah.
So then what happened afterwards? Did he just
he found a way to
spontaneously turn into the Hulk one day and then have, like, a conversation? Or
he probably found a way to bring the Hulk out without trying to force it.
Yeah, but where is the Hulk? Like, it's just green Bruce Banner at this point. What happened to the Hulk personality?
The angry Hulk, maybe.
Is it just dead?
Tamed it.
Tamed? Okay.
I don't know.
Sure.
So the time heist, they were going to figure out where each of these Infinity Stones were. There were 6 Infinity Stones in time. So you had 3 in New York from the first Avengers movie. And then you had 1 on Morag. So 4. 1 on Morag.
One
on Asgard.
And then 1 on Vormir, where they had to toss her off a cliff.
Yeah. So the New York ones, I thought that was a pretty fun scene, revisiting some of the behind the scenes of the first.
It's always
Avengers
New York,
movie.
though. One day I want to see someone make a movie where all the Infinity Stones are located in, like, Ohio, and there's no interesting things happening there. They just have to ride in and ride out. It doesn't always have to happen in New York, folks. There's other states in the country.
It was cool to see the lady from Doctor Strange kind of behind the scenes controlling things as well.
One Punch Man.
Yeah. And then we had people from Winter Soldier that we did not know were in the Avengers movie because it was, like I said, behind the scenes. So I was confused. I thought the elevator scene was the Winter Soldier scene, and he said Hell Hydra.
Where he's going to beat him up.
And so I was like, oh, that's from Winter Soldier, but it's in the first Avengers movie. So they get the 3 stones there, and then they lose the cube to Loki.
Yeah.
So they have to go back to the 70s where we meet...
Howard Stark.
Yeah, and then...
young Hank Pym.
And it was pretty cool to see them interact, and it probably meant a lot to Tony. Mm-hmm. He said he has a granddaughter or a daughter.
And then they talked about how Tony was going to be born, and he was nervous about being his father and stuff. It was a nice way to wrap up the character.
Yeah. And so we had Vormir, and the first time I saw it with my friend, I leaned over and I said, they're going to Vormir, someone's going to have to sacrifice somebody.
I don't understand. Why did no one tell them ahead of time what was going to happen? I guess no one else was there besides Thanos and Gamora. But, I mean, someone had to have drawn the conclusion that he killed her in order to get the stone. And Nebula was there with them. Why didn't she say, hey, just so you know, some shit's probably going to go down. And y'all should be prepared for that. But no, they just went in totally blind.
I think someone mentioned it. It was either before or after. Comment down below if you know. That Thanos went to Vormir with his daughter, but left alone.
Yeah.
Someone should have put that together.
Yeah.
I don't remember
especially
who
Nebula,
it was.
because there's no way Nebula wouldn't have figured that out.
Nebula knew that Thanos had killed Gamora, but she might have not knew the context of it.
She also knew that he loved Gamora. Like, that was his actual daughter, not so much Nebula, but Gamora. So he wouldn't have just killed her just for fun. It would have had to have served a purpose.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why she wouldn't have mentioned that to them. I don't know. It just seems unnecessary.
So then it brings us to them, or Black Widow and Hawkeye. I was surprised that they killed off Natasha Romanoff because they have plans to do a Black Widow film.
It must be an origin.
Before she
There's
met Tony.
no way.
It wasn't as dramatic as I thought it was going to be because I knew someone was going to die.
Yeah.
It was either going to be Hawkeye or
Black Widow.
But how it ended up being, I didn't find it to be that satisfying or
impactful,
dramatic, because they just kept on going back and forth. Like, I'm gonna kill you. You're gonna kill me.
It almost became kind of like a game towards the end of it. Like, okay, just someone jump. I'm like, let's get back to the main story here.
Like, you know what, you guys are wasting my time. I'm just gonna do it.
I'm just like, come on, let's go.
I'm just gonna take both of you and just throw you off.
Huck them off. And I mean, I don't understand why it was a competition between them. I get that Black Widow's whole story is, she did a bunch of bad things. She's a terrible person, blah, 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 blah. She's trying to redeem herself by being part of the Avengers and being part of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that. But I mean,
they just wanted to...
Who does it help by throwing yourself off a cliff? Doesn't solve any problem. I mean, I guess it did solve a problem. It did solve a problem, but they made it seem like this was the fitting end for her. And I was like, I mean, not really. It's just like...
Yeah.
It didn't serve anything for her character. And I mean, of course she's going to be the one to jump. Hawkeye has like 3 kids and a wife. She lives in a house eating sandwiches all day. Who logically would be more willing to go? It should have been Black Widow anyway.
Yeah. And Hawkeye, I know he's got that TV show coming up on the Disney Plus
Hawkeye's
streaming
TV
service.
Show. Wouldn't want to miss that.
So we lose Nat in the middle of the film. And so we got to Morag, where we had War Machine and Nebula trying to find the orb that Chris Pratt
in the first Guardians.
That was a funny scene, and he was dancing and they had like no music and he was just dancing by himself.
Badly singing.
And so I thought it was an interesting twist, and I didn't see this coming, that past 2014 Nebula in 2000...
Who's still loyal to Thanos at that point.
9 years later, what is that? 2023.
There you go.
Yeah, I did it. 2023 Nebula share the same kind of connection.
Well, she's a robot, so it makes sense. I get, is she a robot or a cyborg?
Yeah, I don't know, something.
She's a Smurf.
So Thanos saw the visions, her memories.
They hook up somehow. They connect since they're on the same circuit.
And so 2014 Thanos saw the future, what had happened with the stones, and then we'll talk more about that down the road.
Yeah.
But he knew what
He knew that it was on the planet, so he could go get them.
And he thought that his mission was successful, even though his head was chopped off. And so 2014 Nebula said, I'll remain faithful to you. And she copied herself as the current Nebula. I thought it was pretty interesting.
All she did was switch part of her head plate to look a different color, and everyone was fooled.
Well, no one, even when they got back from the time heist, no one said, "Hi, Nebula." They all
no one
went
even
off.
Acknowledged her. They all just left.
They all went off to put the the stones into Iron Man's gauntlet.
Yeah. It's like they forgot that at one point she was bad and she worked for Thanos, and they didn't even bother to, like, consider the fact that they were sending her back to the same time.
And then even when they were ready to snap the fingers and Tony activated the barn doors...
Yeah, they just left
she
her
wasn't even in there, like, is Nebula here?
She's just walking around by herself.
Knocking on doors. Hello, is anybody here?
Cared about her at all.
But, so, the story was that they were going to bring Thanos to present day, which was 2014 Thanos, and he was going to get the stones because they were all in one place.
Because they'd already been collected. But one thing I did wonder, so when she gets the stone from Morag, she, like, burns her hand thing really bad because she has to put it through the force field. And War Machine saw that. And then obviously current Nebula didn't have that issue, or past Nebula. So when she arrives, I think everyone was obviously all upset that Nat yeeted herself off a cliff, but no one bothers to notice that her arm isn't messed up again. I don't know. That just seems like something that someone should have pointed out at some point.
They were so focused that Nat died.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
And then Hulk was throwing
it just shows
into the water.
How little attention people actually paid to Nebula in this movie.
I really liked her.
She might as well have just been like a coat hanger in the background.
So they have the stones, and you, beautiful, beautiful soul, were so worried about how the glove was going to fit the Hulk.
It was so small.
You kept leaning over like, it's not going to happen. How is it going to get on? I'm like, just be quiet. Just wait.
It bothered me a lot.
And then it, like, expanded, and you're like, oh.
But the glove looked one size, and he's very plus-sized, and I just don't understand.
But of all the things in the movie, you were like...
It's a valid concern,
how's it going to get on there? It's not going to fit. Oh my god. I'm just like, shut up. And then it happens, and then you're like, oh. And then we moved on with our lives.
Well, it was a concern.
And so he puts the glove on, and it's like, just flowing through him, and he snaps his finger. Ant-Man looks outside, and there's birds, and then Hawkeye calls his wife, and then we get...
Hulk is looking up at the ceiling, and then you see, like, the bombs start to come down.
And that leads into...
the very unrealistic... Yeah. How is it that people are trapped underneath, like, bombs and building and concrete, and then here's Hawkeye just rolling out with no problem. 0 powers, 0 armor. He's got, like, 4 twigs and a bow. That's his only power. And he has no issues, no injuries. He just got bombed, like, 15 times.
It was kind of unrealistic.
Explanation, Marvel. I want to know how.
A raccoon can get hit by a car and die, whereas Rocket...
Hey, Rocket is an alien raccoon. He's not an alien archer, okay?
He's still small.
He's just a white dude.
But they'll get out of it, and Thanos is just sitting there waiting for Nebula to bring him the stones. And it leads to, I will say it, some of the best, like, action scenes.
It was the coolest action scene of the whole franchise.
Any Marvel film.
Any Marvel or DC.
Any second of DC movie ever. That's something else. But I liked when it was the 3 of them went and fought him first. It was Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America, the OGs.
You know how I feel about Captain America.
I know, but I told you after
versus Thanos.
During dinner, I told you, like, we're no longer Iron Man and Captain America's side.
But no, we're not. You can't. No. Okay. The only reason that they gave Captain America Thor's hammer is because he literally is useless compared to the other 2. He has nothing to contribute in terms of, like, battling Thanos. What's he gonna do? Slap him really hard? No, there's no possible way. So they're like, okay, how can we make Captain America not just like a sack of potatoes to be thrown around? Oh, why don't we give him another character thing that made the other character relevant and just slap it on him instead? Problems with the plot there. But okay, continue.
I have to deal with this every day of my life.
Yes, it's an issue.
It was cool.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. And... he is strong, and he's
a beautiful, empowered woman, and Justin believes in him.
He will fight anybody. He
ain't gonna fight no one now.
He was ready to fight whole Thanos' army with half of a shield.
Badly, I'm sure. He was ready to fight badly.
he was gonna do it.
Okay, well, possums are ready to walk in front of cars. It doesn't mean that the car is gonna be, like, there's gonna be any impact on the vehicle. Willingness does not equal competency.
Remind me after this video to call the divorce attorney.
It's true, though.
But he tightened his shield and he was ready to go fight him. And I like, though, when he grabbed the hammer and Thor was like, I knew.
Yeah, well, they showed it in Ultron. He, like, started to pick it up a little bit.
Someone did. Was it Captain America? I don't remember.
It was Captain America, yeah, and then Thor was like, oh, okay.
And so
but
they're
then
all
Ultron
fighting.
attacked.
I liked Thor's suit at the end when he was fat and he had his beard and his hair.
And he looked so cool. The coolest he's ever looked.
And so then he was ready to fight, and then Sam got on the mic. It's like, Cap, are you there?
Yeah.
And then
the beginning
Thanos,
of the most epic cameo on the planet.
Doctor Strange was like doing this, and everybody came through.
Everyone who's ever been in a Marvel movie was there.
Even like Goose should have been there. I don't know what happened to Goose, though.
Goose would have been so cool. We all know what happened to Goose. He lived happily. No, he lived happily ever after.
Everybody was losing their minds, and it was so cool to see like everybody that was in Wakanda come in, and everybody that was on Titan come in, and then you had people from Ant-Man, and then you had people from Thor Ragnarok, and you had Korg in there. There were so many people, and it was just so cool. And then he was like, Avengers, assemble, and then they all fought.
It was like 5,000 people.
I know, it was so cool. And then they were all running, and then you had people like that were flying next to them too, and then Thanos was running. And
Pepper Potts was there.
It was awesome.
In that suit, and I really think that if this was where they were going to go with it, they should have let her keep her powers from Iron Man 3, but whatever. The suit's good too.
And so then they were all fighting, and then like everybody got a chance to do something cool. I like Spider-Man. He's like, activate instant kill.
Yeah, and he had those
eyes are turned red and his
things out. That was really cool. I hope they use that in the next Spider-Man movie.
Homecoming, yeah, and then not Homecoming, Far From Home
was the first one.
Yeah, sorry. But then everybody had a cool chance to do something.
Everyone was relevant to the battle. There wasn't anyone who just like stood in the background.
And the second that you thought everybody was gonna die, here comes Captain Marvel, which we haven't talked about yet. Had barely any screen time in this movie, and I think it's okay.
And also barely any hair. Okay.
I think it's okay because Marvel doesn't want people to get bored of her right away, so they don't want to utilize her too much. And
they want
know
her
that
to
she's
just be
really
like an
strong.
Easter egg in the movie.
And so she came in and fought everybody, and she's like, Peter Parker's like, I have something for you. And she's like, oh, hello, Peter Parker. I love that scene when she had that force field around her, and he tried to smack her with his head, and it didn't even do anything.
It just bounced right off.
I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But even her, she was struggling against Thanos.
She was getting her butt kicked too.
But we had the end of the battle where Doctor Strange said that if I told you what was going to happen, it wouldn't happen. And so then he was holding the water back, and then he was like this, and that's just
Tony Stark.
This is the one that needs to happen.
The one possible way for them to win out of like the 14 million.
And side note, my favorite version of Doctor Strange was Infinity War.
Oh yeah.
And like anybody that was in this movie, like they were stronger than their own personal movies or even anything they ever been in before.
Even if they weren't even in it for very long, they made much more of an impact.
And so,
except for maybe Black Panther, he really was not in it at all. He was like maybe one scene.
No, but like Hawkeye, he was like the best ever in this one.
Yeah, he is a much more relevant character in this one.
And so they thought that Thanos had the stones again. And he snapped on it and nothing happened. Yeah. Tony had grabbed them.
Tony got all of them, and he was able to turn his suit into like a gauntlet thing.
And he said, I am Iron Man, and snapped and dusted everybody. And
everybody who was bad, not everybody.
And he died. He dead.
He real dead.
For real
He's
dead.
super dead.
And I honestly thought going into the movie that they were going to kill off Captain America.
So did I.
And do something different with Iron Man.
Heck, I mean, he's like 92 years old. Like,
we'll get to that next.
Get rid of him.
But it made sense.
No, in like the current timeline, he's like 92 years old.
No, we're going to talk more about that.
Oh, yeah.
But it would have made sense if they just did not kill Iron Man, and he would have had his daughter, and he'd have been fine.
Yeah, that was really upsetting. And it really just shows how crappy of a deal Iron Man got out of the whole situation. His one big motivation was to bring back Spider-Man, which he did, so that was accomplished. But aside from Thor, He really did not get anything out of this battle at all besides just terrible.
I do like the relationship, Peter Parker and Iron Man.
Yeah.
But,
and he loved Peter Parker before he even had his own kid, so that was kind of like his son.
And like I said about everybody else, I do think this is Iron Man's best version. He knew what he was risking.
Who saved the entire universe? One more time. Say it for the people in the back. One more time?
Iron Man.
Oh, yeah. And who flailed around helplessly with someone else's weapon the entire battle? Who?
I don't know.
Who?
Drax.
Who? That's probably relevant too. But I think we both know who I'm talking about.
Whatever.
Captain America.
This needs to end.
No, it doesn't, okay?
They're both gone. Let's fight about some other people. But they had their funeral, and it was nice to see everybody. Even the boy from Iron Man 3 was in the way back.
Way back. By himself.
Nick Fury was back there, too. But I like how it was like the Guardians in a group, and Black Panther in a group, and the Spider-Man characters in a group, and then you had Wanda and Winter Soldier and Falcon together.
Yeah.
But then it was sad, and they put that thing that proved that Tony Stark has a heart out there.
Yeah, and they threw it in a river, but like funeral type.
And then
style.
They had to put the stones back because if they didn't put the stones back, timelines would be all messed up.
It would be all alternating.
And so then Captain America took them back, and he put them back. And I read a Facebook post, if he had to put them back at the time where they got them, how was he going to put the thing back into Natalie Portman?
Bow chicka wow wow.
So he had to go back to.
He would have had to go back to before she got it in her, and then put it, and then.
So he had to go back to New York and Morag and Vormir.
Yeah, I bet New York was his last stop.
But then he ended up going back to the beginning and getting that life that he always wanted with Peggy.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good way to retire the character. Everybody knows how I feel about Captain America. My wife knows. I think it was a touching tribute.
It was
to the character. We
to
cannot
get
deny
back.
that.
It was what's her name, Peggy?
Yes, Peggy Carter.
And it shows them like slow dancing, and it just shows that throughout the whole series, all he's ever wanted was like that life that he missed out on with Peggy, and like here he is. He's done his duty, and he's back, and he gets to live that out.
Well, he's always looking at that compass of her. Mm-hmm. And then he comes back in that timeline, and he's like old, and he's sitting on the bench.
He's really not even that old. He's like
probably like
mid-70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't even that old, really.
And so then he gives Captain Falcon the shield. Now
Captain Falcon?
Yeah, it was gonna be That's
just Falcon.
That's a Super Smash Bros. Character.
Then we got a cameo from Captain Falcon. It was really random.
Falcon. It might be Captain Falcon, I don't know.
know.
He gives him the shield. I thought he should have gave it to Bucky because Bucky was
a terrorist.
His friend. And
Who's
so
terrorist?
I don't know. Maybe Sebastian Stan didn't want to commit to that role.
Being stuck in the Marvel franchise for another several decades.
And Anthony Mackie
has nothing else going on.
So I think Anthony Mackie's a good actor, and I like Falcon. He's in the background a lot, but this will maybe a chance for him to shine. I don't know.
Well, since they're getting rid of so many of the main characters, they're going to have to start dragging some of these background characters into the spotlight if they want to keep the franchise going.
I don't know if they'll do a new Captain America movie like on the Disney Plus streaming service or...
It's a little weird. Is he still going to be the bird guy? Because what does the bird need a shield for? Or is he going to wear a Captain America suit now?
Maybe he'll be a Captain America suit, and then someone else will like be his assistant, like Bucky.
Bucky can be the bird now.
Well, there is a show coming up on the Disney Plus streaming service that said it's Falcon and Winter Soldier.
But he wouldn't be Falcon anymore. He'd be Captain America, or he'd be a bird with a shield.
I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen. It was a touching tribute to Captain America, and I think they wrapped up Iron Man and Captain America's storyline very well.
Not so much Scarlett Johansson.
They
just chucked her right off a cliff and moved on.
Move on.
Yeah.
But that movie, I think that might just end up being like kind of like a Captain Marvel style movie right before she met.
For
Black Widow.
Black Widow. It's gonna have to be an origin story, and they had this not cameo, but scene in the big final battle where all of like the girl people from the Avengers got together, and I get what they're doing. They're trying to test the waters and see if people would be interested in a movie where it's all girls. But I really think if they were going to do that, they should have kept Black Widow alive. Because she would have been the leader.
She'd been at the helm
It's
of
an
it all.
odd choice to unite all of the female Avengers after you killed off Black Widow. It should have been Black Widow in it. And if that was the case for the future of the franchise, they should have chucked Hawkeye off. It would have made way more sense.
But I thought Avengers Endgame was terrific. I'm teetering on Infinity War and Endgame at times. Like you said that we could pop on Infinity War.
You can watch Infinity War and be in its enjoyable experience. I feel like when you watch Endgame, you have to commit.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sit down with no phone or computer and just watch the whole thing for 3 hours, and that's a lot.
Infinity War is much more of a villain movie. Endgame is much more of a team,
like an epic
adventure film.
Yeah,
and they're both really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it's crazy that I feel like we're not going to get another Marvel film like this ever again.
No.
And if we do, they really have to.
With all the characters they have,
characters.
I don't think they would be able to build up to another one of these, honestly. They're going to have to go somewhere else with it.
We'll see, but I enjoyed it. I want to see it many more times. So, yeah, Endgame, cool. Good movie.
We give it 3 thumbs up.
Not 4?
No, just 3. Doesn't deserve 4. 3.
Why not 4?
Because it's too damn long, okay? Cut it in half like Twilight. I got stuff to do.
Could have been longer.
Could not have been longer.
So thank you guys for checking my review for Endgame spoiler video. You guys can check out my non-spoiler review. I'm not sure why you would want to do that now.
No, there's no point.
And then all 22 Marvel films ranked worst to best right over here as well. Yeah, those are a lot of fun. My butt always hurts after those.
It sounds gross. Why would you say that?
I'm sitting.
Well, yeah, but...
My name is JustinWatchesMovies, and this is...
Tara.
Tara.
Just Tara.
Make sure to subscribe to my channel, comment down below with your thoughts on Endgame, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.
Goodbye.